Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Richard over at Hofstra. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Matt. How's it going?
Doing well. Can't complain. Just another beautiful day here in sunny Florida. So
What part of Florida are you in, Matt?
I'm in Bradenton, actually. I was looking at your roster. I see a couple IMG kids there. That's what brought me down to Bradenton. I worked there for a few years. So
Yeah, I love that area. I'm doing a little bit of work, in my own time in Naples, and
okay.
so we'll see.
Yeah.
I love Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Bit
good
wet,
stuff.
wet and horrible and windy here today.
Oh boy. Well. It's not much you can do, right?
No,
That's I love the Hofstra website there, the pride of Long Island, right? So you gotta deal with Long Island,
yeah,
whatever it brings you, right?
yeah. Usually lawyers, traffic, and the seasons, which is a good thing.
There you go. Well, Coach, I know just to let people know, come just the start of this year, you've moved on into the athletic department, not the head coach anymore. I think did they give you the emeritus title? Because how many years were you the head coach there?
I was the head coach for 37 years, which, I'm proud of. I think I was the longest serving coach in the country eventually. Maybe not the one of all time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Yeah.
well, that's good because I interviewed Jay at Ohio Wesleyan before he stepped aside. So I've
Yeah.
had some of the longer tenured coaches on the pod, so it's good to see that. Well,
I'm sorry, the former wrestling coach has got a loud mouth. He's talking in the background. Hope he can hear.
no worries, no worries. Well, Coach, I wanted to kind of talk about some of the things you did while you were there and give some good information here to folks listening. And normally, when I'm talking to coaches, we start off by recruiting. And one of the things I notice, when you look at the roster that I'm assuming you had a pretty good hand in creating there
Yeah.
online is there's quite a bit of international talent there, and judging from your accent, you don't seem like you're from Long Island. So
Yeah.
so what is it about kind of the how is the really the game changed right now in terms of recruiting, especially from the international side on the men's side specifically?
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, Matt, and it's a ball game once a different ball game once they're here again. And from my point of view, look, I think the first thing I want to say is that I learned every year. I was here 37 years and I was still learning. And my two assistant coaches are incredible or were incredible as assistants. And now they deserve to be head coaches. And they were better than me with the old video analysis and the X's and O's and things. And then I brought my parts to that. But in terms of recruiting, between being an ex-player and a teacher, in England and developing a network. I never thought I burnt too many bridges with most of the recruits we brought in, even in the earlier days, when we didn't have as much scholarship money and, we weren't as good a soccer team. But I think everybody, you can never say everybody, actually. Most people had a great experience at Hofstra. So that helps you a lot if most people have had a great experience, it helps you a lot with recurring recruiting. And, I think most people, even the ones that didn't play much, who thought they wanted more time or didn't get enough scholarship. I always thought when they, after a little time of leaving Hofstra, they thought, well, maybe he was fair, he's real and honest. I went a period of 11 years where I didn't have one transfer out of the program. But that I should have had transfers out because a few were there and it wasn't the right place, and I should have moved them on. But you're a bit, you learn, you live and learn. So I think that one of the biggest tools I had was the reputation of the program for being fair, honest, and real. And for recurring recruiting, the people who've been in the program pass on great things to the possible new recruits. And I think the humanistic side, I'm pretty good. My mother always says that if I was one of the pioneers coming to the country, I would have been smoking the peace pipe with the Indians, and my brother would have been hunting them down, So that's my nature. I'm a bit of a softie at times until I go on the field, then I was an animal. But, a combination of a very, very good school, well-balanced school, honesty and integrity from the coaching staff, and the extreme focus on who they are as people, and Matt, my assistant's a laugh. I always consider myself a human engineer, and I got that from a great man called Paul Lasser, who you might know from the past in this area. But we are human engineers, and I was involved in the life at Hofstra, the academics. Before we had academic plans, I had an academic advisor. I had a professor, Dr. Wayne, help me way before was any academic advice. So that was good too. And I got very involved in post Hofstra, with getting out there in the real world with the career pathways. So what I'm trying to say is I generally feel as though I gave them a great start on life. I was real and honest with them how they should be as people, extreme manners, hardworking, and just a great all-round person. And I helped them get out there in the real world as well. So that's like a snowball gathering momentum. And there were not many people, I believe, that won't recruits who played for me that won't answer the phone now. Now there's a few, but there's not many. So I'm proud of that, man.
Yeah, as you should be. Well, Coach, when it comes to this kind of new state of affairs in college soccer, um, how did you go about your recruiting? How did you find players? What was kind of your process? Where were some of the places you like to go to see players play and that sort of thing?
Yeah. It's all network and where have you been before, and then you try and broaden your horizons, and you go to who you feel good with, who've given you good references in the past, and generally speaking, the recruiting group out there, that the recruiting agencies, that they know what you want and what you need, and they're generally pretty good at helping you. But then you've got all your contacts, all your ex-players, all the ex-players you played with in Europe. And it's just a large network, and it's a big job, but you've got to sift through it. And once you've sifted through it, obviously you look at the videos now. We didn't have a massive budget to go traveling, so we'd rely a lot on videos. And my wife's just walked in.
Hello.
You're on.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Never been on.
All right, it's on my desk. I took a car keys to work in my pocket. What do you think of
Oops.
that? So, videos, then leads, and then if we try and see most players, but sometimes you can't, and sometimes you just know the players. So it's very rare that if we could see them, that we didn't go and see them. And then again, you're not going to make the right decision all the time, but once they're here, they'd have at least a year to prove themselves, and hopefully they're a right fit. But again, nobody gets it right all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Well, when it comes to, obviously you're looking at a lot of video but besides the video, kind of give me a breakdown of what you were looking for in a recruit in both on the field aspects and off the field.
All right. To be honest, off the field was just as important as on the field. And we'd bring a good player with a great personality above a great player who we had a little, maybe some red flags about. So when we interviewed them in person, for example, this is a normal one. You sat there and the parents there and you ask the player a question and the parents answer it. That's just about a no-no. That would be the end of that person usually. And then the other thing is if the parents have written us an email or a text, that's a no-no. So there are lots of little recruiting rules that you do. So um, hold on a second. Sorry. All the way to the end of the corridor. Keep going. All the way. Sorry, Matt.
That's okay.
But the wife's calling, you got to answer.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
So you're talking about the no-nos that
Oh yeah,
that might
lots
be
of
red flags,
no-nos.
but what are the green flags? What are the things you love to see in a player?
Our kid warms up, how he talks to his players, how he affects the people. Look, you don't care about the level too much. You don't care about the result of the game. The score is irrelevant. You go, you see him warm up. How does he warm up? Does he have intent? Is he talking? On the field, does he move the ball quickly? Does he affect the people, north, east, south, west of him? When the game's tough is a massive one. When their team's struggling, how does he react and what does he do? Of course, you're looking at grit and determination, which I believe we were famous for our grit and determination. So I mean, to get through our practices here, you've got to be gritty and determined. There's such a difficult proposal to the players. So, and you know, looking at it, I'm a bit of a flair man. I'm a believer in wingers. You know, having some flair on the outside, and can they go past people? How do they hold the people around them accountable? And it's just there's many factors, and sometimes you just get a little bit of a feel, if that makes sense. So uh, it's just sometimes a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the school, Hofstra. I've been to Long Island, but never been over to the school. You've been there a number of years. In all your time, kind of, what are some awesome things about Hofstra? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Well, it is the most awesome thing, right? The people that work here are incredible, from the custodians all the way across to the president. And I've loved coming to work every day, Matt, for 37 years. There was one day I lost the van keys and my boss was a bit annoyed, but other than that, I've enjoyed coming to work. So the number one thing about Hofstra is the people. And I absolutely love coming to work and seeing these people and interacting and talking with them and sharing a laugh and a giggle. So that's the number one thing. The second thing, I've got to say the board of trustees have been tremendous in building the school slowly, and I mean that physically. You know, with the facilities, I've seen them grow and grow and grow every single year. I've seen the quality of the academics of professors really growing. They've added the medical school. They've got better in all aspects of schooling, and it's just a growing school. And what I say, Matt, about this school, all right, we might not be a Harvard or a Yale or a Princeton or MIT, but we're damn good academic and got some brilliant degrees here. We might not be, Ohio State with facilities, but we've got some beauty facilities. And then our number one thing from my point of view is the location. You're close to New York City, but you're not in the heavy New York City, but you can be there on a 35-minute train ride. You got the beaches 15 minutes away, and you got Eastern Long Island. You got skiing an hour and a quarter away in the winters. The location, it's hard to beat. And so if you score all these factors out of 10, I believe you'd score them quite well. And if you added them all up, for example, Columbia, incredible school, but it's in the centre of Manhattan. It doesn't have our fields and grass and all that. So there's pluses and minuses, but generally speaking, I think if you add all our scores up, it'll be as good as anybody because we're good in most things.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, rewind us back to, let's say, October, right? You're in the heart of that conference season. The boys are getting after it. What does a typical week look like for a player at Hofstra in terms of when is training and classes and games and meals and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the second half of the season training is definitely a bit different to the first half. I'm more conscious of fatigue, mental and physical. I used to fight with my two assistants for time off and downtime, but they eventually let my opinions grow because of so much success. So, the second half of the season in October, we'd be very mindful of downtime and understanding that they need to be when they do train, they've got to train very, very well. But when we can rest and we're going to, and that we look at the minutes very carefully. But a typical day is, get up and go to class, do your stuff. We trained every day at 4:15. It worked for us. The other programs train at different times. We trained at 4:15. My my assistants, Stephen and Sean, were told not to go too long whatsoever, but make sure it's, let's say, an hour and a quarter. It's got to get in that hour and a quarter enough activity and high tempo stuff as you would maybe in a 2 hour slower, more sedate session, and get in, get out, get it done. It may during the day, a lot of the fellas with Sean and Stephen would go out on the field and do some not inducing fatigue, but a lot of repetition on skills that are needed, purposeful practice. They'd always all the guys, a lot of the guys want to go out. We had to stop them going out a lot of the time. And Matt, that the fact that we did that I really think it gave us another 1 or 2% on the field. You know, the extra work that the boys put in, and just on repetition of skill. Again, purposeful practice, and then do the training session, get some treatment after, and then maybe do the homework and relax. And but the guys were given the option of morning classes, or some would like night classes as well. But I'm not a big fan of getting students up early because students don't go to bed till 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock most times, and then you gain them up at 5 or 6. Not for me, I did try it one year. I just felt the lack of interest and fatigue in the morning, even though you got the day off to a good start. And I believe a lot of the kids, if you do morning practices, they go straight back to bed and don't go to class.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my philosophy there.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of the early morning practices, and
No,
I've never played never played a match that started at 7 a.m. So I don't think I
correct.
needed to practice that.
Yeah.
But well, and let's talk a little bit more, I guess, about the team and what you guys have done there. Congrats on a phenomenal fall. I mean, you guys made it to what, the third round of the tournament. You've had a
Yeah.
lot of success, and just want to let you go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went like before we lost to Stony Brook this year in the semi-final, we'd gone like 18 CA playoff games without losing in regulation, and we'd been in the final 7 out of 8 years or something like that. And we'd only lost on penalties 3 times, and that was to the same team, JMU. That was a bit of a sickener for 3 years in a row, or three
Oof.
out of 4 years. So, but then we'd won it four in a row. We were going for our fifth, and a little bit of sometimes it just happens and you don't win the game, and that's all right. But we were lucky to get a bid, and our first task, we thought we should have had a home game. We were only team in the top 30 RPI who didn't get a home game, so we're a little bit annoyed at that, which I love in a way. We go away with a team, you go to Syracuse. And you get to keep, you get some good things about going away. You've got like you've got an audience that can't go away from you. You can control it with your players, the eating, the sleeping, and all that. So we went to Syracuse, and Ian McIntyre there is a good friend of mine, a great coach, and a great game against them, beat them 2-0. And then we went up to Vermont, number one seed in the country. It's probably one of my favourite moments while I've been here. And we beat them in overtime, 3-2 to knock the number one seed out. And then we had an incredible game against Furman. They were the better team in the first half, where it was a bit of a slippery field for us, and we got it back into the game. Then they went 3-1 up, and we got to 3-3, and then we lost on penalties. So we've lost in the last 5 years. We've lost twice on penalties in the Sweet 16, which is hard to take as well. But I just feel as though the last 5 years, Matt, we had a team that could have won a national championship. And that I'm very, very proud of. You've got to have a little bit of luck, and things have got to go your way. But the fact is that my gut feelings that those teams could have won it.
Yeah.
For various reasons, you don't. But the fact that we're in the mix and we're little old Austria in many ways, it's a beautiful feeling that you've achieved something. And before the season this year, I said, "Look, I know we're going to have a good season. We've got a good group. I'm gonna finish here, and then I want to move on to different things in my life. I'm still got a load of energy, and we'll see what I want to do. And I am missing it all, Matt, but we'll see what happens. I'm working in the athletic department with great people, and doing fundraising. So that's pretty cool too. But what a brilliant season again. The feeling, Laurie Goddard scored the winner in overtime, and then they rushed over to our 50 fans, and 5,000 fans went silent. It's just one of the greatest feelings. So, and one of the kids, if you look on the video scoring the goal, he ripped his shirt off, a young man, and ran over to his mother. It was the greatest thing I've seen for a while. So all those moments, but there's been 37 years. I've had many incredible moments, and I just feel lucky. Who else wants to come to work every day? I have, so very fortunate.
No, that's great. And
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you with one last question, Coach. Like, thanks for sharing all this with us. But if you had one piece of advice for, a high school student right now trying to navigate this world of wanting to play soccer in college, what piece of advice would you give them?
Well, I'm going to predicate that with the thoughts here. We're not doing the right thing. The system's wrong, right? And the level, the teams are designed to try and win championships and state cups and things like that, where it shouldn't be. The rest of the world, any good players move upwards and onwards to the better team and out of the comfort zone. So my advice is never be the best player on the team. If you're in the top three or four or five, you're on the wrong team. Go and play in an older team or a men's team. Get out your comfort zone and learn. And the biggest learning years for me was 15 to 18. And I was playing men's soccer then. No coach ever gave me much instruction that made me a better player. The environment made me a better player. Get out your comfort zone, get where you're one of the worst players on the team, and that will help you solidify your mental toughness, and will get you much better than playing on a team where you're in your comfort zone. So get out your comfort zone, gain a rigorous situation, and test your mentality. And if you, as I say, you play with the men if you can. It's a little bit difficult in this country with the rules on personal safety and child safety, but that's my biggest advice. Challenge yourself. Don't be the best player on the team.
Well, I think it's good advice. Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time. Thank you, and congrats on all your successes and the new gig. And hopefully you can have the same amount of success in the fundraising area as you
Yeah.
did on the soccer field.
What I'm doing, Matt, just for you know, in the next 1 or 2 years, I'm going to be going full time to Portugal. I've got an academy there with an incredible man, and I'll tell you now, it's rigorous, it's disciplined, and it's tough. And we have a farm system where we farm all the 15 to 19-year-olds out to all the men's team. We've got 55 men's teams in our city that we farm them out. You'll go there a young man, you'll come back a real man. So if anybody's interested, it's called PFA. Down the line, it's going to be my full-time gig. All
Oh,
right.
all right. Well, then next time I'll have to call you up in a couple years and interview you in Portugal instead, face to face, probably.
It's the most beautiful place and safe, Matt. So
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see you there one day.
sounds like a plan. All right. Thank you, Coach. Take care.
Cheers.